Let's discuss a concept called virtual private networks. You hear these referred to often as VPNs. To understand a virtual private network, let's break down a couple of the words in there. First of all, let's just look at private. The internet is a very public network. It's specifically designed to be accessible from a multitude of computers all around the planet. But it's a network, it's connected computers. What if you wanted a mini version of the internet? A small group of computers used by a group of people that had something in common, say they worked at the same company. And you didn't want other people to be able to log into that necessarily who weren't part of that group or weren't allowed in for some special purpose. That would be a private network, and they can be of great value. Frankly, if you've got an office and you've networked all the computers in it, essentially it's a private network, except a lot of the times there's nothing really stopping someone from trying to log into that network. Why? Because control of access to a network is something that computer software does. The internet actually has a bit of control. Remember, if you're looking at the internet, you would have your browser. Your browser connects through an internet service provider and then out to the actual internet itself. Well, the internet service provider controls the access. If you didn't pay for a subscription there, they're not going to let you connect to the internet. So it's software that they have, computer programs at the internet service provider that controls that. A private network is no different. There's software involved that controls who can access it. Now, let's discuss how this little private network works before we discuss adding on the concept of virtual to it. Let's discuss a private network. Here you have a private network that's just for a workplace, some sort of workplace. Let's say it's our good friends at Acme Industries. And inside their workplace, they have actually connected all the computers. And there's computers for the accounting department, and there's computers for the sales department, and there's computers for the manufacturing department, and there's computers for the human resources department. And they're all networked. But sometimes the executives and the workers at Acme would like to work from home. And they'd like a way to be able to access these computers, this little network. But only the people allowed to have access should have access. You can take software called VPN software and tell that software all of the computers involved in the network and who the users are that are allowed to access that network. The user would have a username and a password, some other credentials to prove they are who they are. At that point, the way it works is this. The VPN software is capable of controlling what can and can't enter into this small network. So let's say Bob goes home, and from his home PC, he accesses this network. He has a special piece of software that knows how to contact any one of these computers and tries to. Again, network computers is a very common thing, and software to do so is very common. The difference here is when the request to connect to one of these computers happens, the VPN software captures that request and checks, what's the username you're putting in? What's the password? Are you allowed to have access to this private network? If not, sorry, request is denied, and an error message is sent back. It says, try again, sucker. Well, it doesn't say that. But if so, then absolutely a connection is established from this home PC to any one of these PCs here. And he can connect to them and see what's on those computers and run software programs on those computers. He's allowed access to this network. That's a private network. So now that we've covered what a private network might be, let's just discuss why they call it a virtual private network. A virtual private network is unique in that it extends across an already existing public network. Let's use as an example the most well-known public network there is, the internet. Let's say that each of these dots here represents a computer that is connected to the internet. I'm not going to draw all the connections between them, but each of these computers has access through an internet service provider to the internet and all the other computers that are connected to the internet. That's a public network. Now let's say that, as in our example, 4 of these computers happen to reside at headquarters for Acme Industries, and they would be this one, this one, this one, and this one just happen to be. These are the 4 computers that we actually want to control access to, restrict access to them to qualified individuals. These computers are actually connected to the internet. So what do? We use special software that essentially cordons off only these computers into a virtual private network. Now, access to those computers can only be obtained by being a member of the virtual private network, as we discussed earlier. To reiterate, the fact that it is a virtual private network means virtual in the sense that slightly imaginary or hypothetical or not the actual real thing. Virtual is a commonly used word in the technology industry that can mean a lot of different things. In this sense, it means if you take the actual physical network of computers and you look at that, and that's the internet. There it is. Take a snapshot of it, you know exactly what it looks like. How about if we overlay on top of that, some of these computers are part of another network? Well, the fact of the matter is they couldn't use a word like layered network or network that rides on top of another one. They had to come up with a word. They came up with the word virtual. It's a virtual network, and it's private. We control the access to it. That's a virtual private network.